There are three parts to this. The topic is Elevate You Career Strategies for a Stellar Career Year. And there are really three parts. I run a coaching program, which is called the Elevate You Coaching Program. And really, in my view, it is the premier leading coaching program to really support people in elevating themselves so that they can go ahead and do whatever they want to achieve in their career. And the design of that program was really born out of my own experience, my corporate experience, and the experiences I'm going through now running a business, that the more I elevate, how I bring an elevated version of myself, whether that is new thinking, new approaches to how I'm doing things, it just creates better results. So that really encouraged me to design a coaching program that is really where the person is at the core of it. So a lot of the work I do, a lot of the things I share, who you are is at the core of it. How do you bring a finer, more elevated version of yourself to your situation, to your challenges, to the workplace, and that would then open doors for you. Now, if we get disconnected for whatever reason during the call, I will come back. If at any time you stop hearing me, we lose audio because I can't really get any feedback, just give me a thumbs down. If at any point you get we lose audio, now give me a thumbs up if you're still hearing me. So I'm sure you're there. Give me a thumbs up if you're still hearing me. So if at any point you stop, I lose the audio, just give me a thumbs down, then I know the audio is done. So I think there were three parts. The Elevate You, that's talking about the person, and then the strategies. Many times we like to talk about the strategy and focus on that, but I actually think that is a lesser part of it, because a lot of it, whatever strategy you have to use in your own situation, when other things are in place, you will actually find it when you are bringing your A game, when you are at your best performance, you will be able to uncover that yourself. What really gets in the way is not a lack of strategy, it's usually a lack of where we are not really at our best, and then that hinders us from being able to make way. And then the third part of it is a stellar career year. So Elevate Your strategies and a stellar career year. And the beautiful thing about a stellar career year is you get to define what stellar is. Nobody gets to define it for you. So these three things we'll be looking at, and I'll be giving you some ideas around how you can take it forward in 2024. So does this sound like some, something that is going to be of value to you? I'm only planning to go on for half an hour. I think we're 5 minutes in now. So what I'm going to do is I'll share my thoughts, share my teaching, and then we'll take questions at the end. So if you have any questions, please do wait behind. I don't mind going longer to take questions. Now, go ahead now. Based on what I've shared, do you think this is something that is going to be valuable to you? Do you think you're going to get value out of listening to this? Give me a thumbs up again. Give me a thumbs up. Give me an love emoji, whatever emoji resonates with you, so I know you're there. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you, Lavin. Thank you, Ratili. Yes, I'm getting some thumbs up. One other thing, please go ahead. Sharing is caring. Go ahead and share this on your page. Let people know that you've joined into this event. And yeah, that might just encourage other people to join. Like I said, the more the better. So let's get into it. Now, I really don't know who wouldn't want to have a stellar year. I can't imagine anyone would say they don't want to have a stellar year. And why do I say that? It's because of what I said earlier. Really, you get to define what a stellar is for you. No one gets to define it for you. So for example, for someone, it may be, a stellar year is that they don't burn out this year. A stellar year is that they actually manage to have work-life balance, work-life blend, work-life integration, however they describe it, but they are able to operate in such a way that they just feel a sense of harmony. And for them, that's a stellar year. For someone else, a stellar year might be actually, yes, achieving that promotion that they are really hoping for. So you get to define, and I'm going to really invite you, because clarity is really clarity is the name of the game. If you're not clear on what a stellar year looks like or what's going to happen, you're more likely going to drift, because for all of us, we have to follow a plan. It's impossible not to follow a plan. What you really want to make sure is that the plan you're following is your plan. So if you don't really get clear on the sort of year you want to have, what would make it a stellar year for you, you might end up having the year that you're organization pushes you towards, the projects they make available, or what your manager makes available. You want to get into the driver's seat. So here are some questions I will ask you. This is around defining the what. That's how I like to put it, defining the what. Defining what a stellar career is for you. What would you like to achieve this year? What would you like to see happen? What would really make you happy? 31st of December 2024 is going to arrive. The question is, which state, where will you be in your career when 31st of December 2024 arrives? That's what you want to work at. You want to be in a place where you have the career that you want. You have the life that you have, the year that you want. I always think we're all on a journey, right? We're all on a journey. A bus is on a journey, right? I'm based in London. There is no London bus that doesn't have a destination where it's going, right? There's no ship that doesn't have a destination of where it's going to dock. So you have to think about, you are on a journey. Where is your destination? Where's your ship going to dock? 31 December is going to come. Where do you want to be in your career? How do you want to be? What are some of the challenges that you might be having now, or you've come into 2024 with? Well, how do you want things to be at the end of 2024? Those are some of the things you need to think about, and let that help you then define what you are aiming for this year. Sometimes we focus on the big goals, and those are important, but the way we achieve our goals is that we grow into them. We evolve into the person that is able to make the goals that we want possible. So for example, I want to get promoted at the end of the year, or I want to secure an executive position at the end of the year, or maybe I'm in a position where there's a level of a number of new clients or new business that I need to bring into my organization this year. Well, how are you going to make that happen? You're going to evolve into the person that can make that happen. And sometimes we can get so caught up in in exactly what we have to achieve, but you have to think about the journey. Who do you need to evolve into? How do you need to be? Working on that is then what allows you to have that stellar year. So hope that's clear. So that's the first thing, define what a stellar career is for you. And then after defining that, you also have to define what you're willing to give to make that happen. Because again, the reality is this: there is no such thing as something for nothing, right? We always have to pay a price for what we want. And I always sometimes think about like our careers. Most of us, maybe even all of us, we're usually in one or three places at any point in our career, where number one, you may be in a promotion year, where there's a definite promotion that you're aiming for. Or you could be in what I call a positioning year, where you are positioning for something, whether it's a promotion in a couple of years, or like a major promotion in a couple of years, or you are positioning for a role outside your organization, you're positioning for a pivot. Or maybe it's the fact that you are actually positioning for life after retirement. You're towards the end of your corporate career, and what you're doing now is actually putting things in place that will allow you to have the post corporate retirement experience that you want. So you're either in a promotion year, a positioning year where you're positioning for something else, or you are in a year where a pivot here, where there's a clear pivot that you need to make. Now, all those 3 years will require more of you, a different version of you to show up in order that you can deliver and achieve that. So for example, if you're in a promotion year, you might be working a little harder than usual. You might be putting in the extra hours and doing the extra event just to show up your case and make sure you're not found lacking or wanting, and there's no reason to deny you what you think you deserve. So very important to think about, where am I? Because you must have a plan. I can't imagine anyone, if you're really focused on your career, you have to be somewhere. Even if you're not going for a promotion now, then there's not something, you're at the point in your career where you just want to be stable. But yet, even with your stability, there we should know how to expect there is something else that you're thinking of. You're not sure you're definitely going to go for it, but you're positioning for it. Because like I said, if we don't if you're not clear, if you don't have a plan that we're working on, we're always going to work to a plan. We'll just end up working on someone else's plan. So in positioning for a stellar year, you think about what that stellar career means for you. What does that look like? Define it for yourself. Define what you're willing to give to make it happen. Because yeah, there's a level of sacrifice that we have to make sometimes when we want some things to happen. So in defining what we're willing to give to make it happen, it's also important to define what you are not willing to give. Give me a thumbs up. Are you still with me? Is everyone still with me? Give me a thumbs up. It's nice to get some reaction so I know I am speaking to real people on the other side. All right. So the third point is, the third definition is very important for you to make is understand clearly what you are not willing to give to make that next level that you desire happen. You know, I was speaking to someone recently who had a position, who, you know, they're in a good position at work, and they reached out for coaching because they're in a place where, you know, the organization is expecting them to step up into a more senior role, but they're hesitant because they don't want to pay the price for that role. So in their mind, the price is going to be sacrificing personal time, sacrificing family time. And in their personal circumstances, they don't want to make the sacrifice. So they find themselves almost really suppressing their own desire to rise in the career. They're not looking to go outside. They don't want to go outside the organization. They like where they are, but they just don't want to move to the next level because of what they think is going to require of them. So I'm just working with them now to understand, well, how can you realize your own ambition in a way that suits you so that you don't have to sacrifice what you don't want to sacrifice? I'm working with someone else as well at the moment where they're in a role, but what the role is demanding of them is just something they are not willing to give. You know, the level of work, the level of the stamina that is required to really thrive in the role is not something that health-wise they can take. So what they need to do is find a way to navigate into another environment that is more suited, because at the end of the day, we want success on our terms. We don't want success and then really feeling like actually it costs you way too much, far too much to get. So there's a real, very, very important to balance it and be very clear on exactly what a stellar career looks like for you. And there's no comparison. You get to decide what you want. I think sometimes we really get frustrated and we get ourselves into, difficult situations and make it more difficult because we're not focusing on us. We're really looking at, okay, maybe what's expected of me. What are other people doing? Almost the pressure to keep up with the Joneses. But hey, you really don't have to. You get to determine the career you have. I always say this, you only have one life, right? You just live the career you want because ultimately you want fulfillment, and you are not going to have fulfillment keeping up with the Joneses, right? You're going to get fulfillment by you living out your own desires. So those are the first step in really creating a stellar career year, being clear on what stellar looks like, defining what you want, defining what you're willing to give to make happen, because it is going to cost you something. And also importantly, also identifying, where are you? Are you in a promotion year, positioning year, a pivot year? And what is that year going to demand of you to be able to deliver? The third point I mentioned is around defining what you're not willing to give to make happen. And that is really also important. Again, if you're finding this helpful, I want to invite you to please go ahead, share. I think there is a button at the end where you can just share to your network and other people can join us. The more, the merrier. Now, so having established, what a stellar career is, well, how do you make it happen? Where are some strategies, right? If you've been to any of my sessions, you will have heard me talk about the fact that I really believe we're all creative beings. We get to create, we're a big contributor to the experiences that we have. Case in point, I think it was about a week ago, maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, I decided I wanted to do an event really supporting people as a plan for the year. I did one at the end of December, which was based around reviewing the year, but I wanted to do something around really strategizing for the year So I created the event, I advertised it, you saw the invite, and you came. So this experience we are having, we have co-created it. So if you think about the year ahead you're going to have, well, always think about how am I going to create the experiences I have? So we're going to use the resources of creation. All of us have this. We have all of these key resources. So there's some general strategies or general principles that you are going to apply to your own situation. Of course, I'd love to give you specific strategies. That's what my clients and I will work on in a one-to-one basis, where, okay, these are some things that work, these are some principles, but how does it apply to your own situation? How do you make it come alive? How do you adapt it, adjust it for where you are, the way your environment is, the environment, the way your organization is structured, the politics, the whatever it is in your organization, you're making it tailored. But for now, these are some principles that you can use and you can make it work for you. So using the resources of creation around how we make things happen, I'm going to share 3 things. The first one around for resources that you use to make your stellar year happen, around strategy. So these are the resources that you use to create your strategies. Number 1, it's common. We all get an equal amount of it. It's time, right? We're all given time. Time is life and life is time. It's the reason it's called lifetime. In order to have the stellar year that you want, you are going to have to ensure that you are spending your time in line with the results you want to create. So often I'm in coaching sessions and people are trying to create Y, and you can see a lot of the time is being spent on X. It's not going to work. Because your time is basically you exchange your time for results. That's what you go to work, isn't it? You pay your work, you're giving your time, in exchange you're being given something back. So for example, let's say you're in a role where you have responsibilities for bringing in new business, winning new work, bringing in new clients. You have to think about, but you're also responsible for delivering on work. So you're leading a team, you're responsible for executing, at the same time responsible for bringing in new work. And that's not unusual. That, a lot of my clients are in that situation. How are you going to balance it both? Because what you cannot have is a situation where you are spending so much time delivering and not so much time in the market, creating conversations, networking. Because if you're not doing that, then what happens is, well, you don't have a pipeline of work. And as you become more senior, your ability to bring in new work, bring in clients, the respect you command in the market, that is an important way of how you're judged. But if you're not creating enough space in your calendar to make that happen, then you are going to struggle to meet that element of your KPI. So this is what I mean by it's really important to ensure that you take absolute control of your time. As much as possible, that you are spending time in line with the results you want to create. Making time for the right conversations. Again, for example, if, having more visibility at the right levels in your organization is important for the results you want to create this year. But guess what? It means you have to create time. You sometimes have to engineer those visibility opportunities. But if you find yourself in a place where you're stuck in the background, or you're going to meetings and you are not putting yourself forward enough, then your time is not aligned. The way you're using your time is not aligned with the results you want to create. Is this clear? Let me get some feedback. Like I said, I will take questions at the end. If there are any questions, I'll take it at the end, but I'll keep going. But let me get some thumbs up. Are you still hearing me? People there? Give me a thumbs up if you're hearing me. Thank you, Simon. Thank you. You're there. Thank you, Achenyo. So we've talked about time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Aretha. Thank you, Chimel. Okay, Nelson, thank you. You're there. Okay, I'll keep going. So in terms of strategies, really, really look at your time. That is really important. One of the, work I do with my clients is sometimes we really go through a time audit. Because if you come to me and you're point A, you want to get to point B, well, we're going to have to create time in your schedule to make it happen, right? Because the fact that you're point A at the moment, point B requires a different set of behaviors and conduct, but you have to make time to evolve into the person that is going to be able to thrive at point B. So the second point around the strategy is our insights. So the second strategy, I'm going to talk about you really marketing your insights appropriately. Here's the truth. There is a value that you bring because of your unique experiences and exposure. There is a value that you bring, and ultimately you have been hired, and this is really important. No one is really hiring you for a job. As you become more senior in your career, you are not being hired to do a job. You're being hired to create specific outcomes. Very important. I'm a coach. My clients don't hire me because they want coaching. They hire me because of the specific outcomes they are looking for. And sometimes I find people are so focused on the job and they haven't really taken things to the next level. Look at things from a higher level around actually, what am I here to do? You are here to create some specific outcomes. So it's really important as you are positioning for wherever it is that is next in your career, that you are very clear and mindful of what that is, and that you are packaging yourself in a way that makes it obvious to your stakeholders that you are ready to deliver at that next level. Because ultimately, that's what you're being hired for. Yes, you come in because of your experience, your exposure, but your experience and exposure and your knowledge, all of that together is to make you deliver some insights that will get the organization the results they want. That's what they want. And it's very important that you see yourself in that way, because that also affects how you conduct yourself in meetings. It affects how you conduct yourself in pitches, really being clear on the problem it is that you are there to solve. And it doesn't matter where you are in your career, you can always repackage yourself in a nicer way. You can always repackage yourself in a way that is even more elevated. Now, it's not unusual for me to speak with people, who feel like they're a little behind where they ought to be in their career. They're not, they feel like they should be more senior than they are. And that's a fact. Yes, they should be more senior than they are, but the issue is not so much the fact, is how you interpret it and how you then use that. So for example, okay, I should be further ahead in my career, and I've been in that situation where I think, you know what, things haven't gone the way they should have gone. I should be further ahead. How do you deal with it in that situation? Do you then tell yourself, oh, because the interpretation you give to it really determines whether you should be, whether, you being further ahead in your career, you not being as far ahead in your career as you ought to be. The interpretation you give to that determines whether the situation works for you or works against you. Do you use it as an advantage or a disadvantage? For example, you can convert it into a strength. More years under your belt means more maturity. And when you come across leaders who maybe they've just flown up the ranks and they have the title, but the maturity is just not there. You hear them speak, you hear them behave, you hear them, you see them lose their temper over really small matters, and you're wondering, why don't you have enough resilience and bandwidth and capacity to deal with something like this? So using your years of experience and your packaging that such that it actually elevates the insights. But what I find sometimes is that people are actually, start to feel embarrassed. They start to hold back rather than actually packaging that and using that as an advantage. Maybe you're a woman that's had time out of work for whatever reason, or maybe you relocated from your own country and you're now in the Western, you're in the Western economy, and for some reason you've had to take a step back. Well, don't just accept that, maybe you took a step back initially. Well, how do you get back to where you would have ordinarily been? A lot of that has to do with the way you're seeing yourself and the work that you do. Because when we settle for less, guess what? We will continue to have less. So that's the second point. The time and the ends. Time is the first one. Insights, understanding the value that you bring and what you're really in your organization for, and what you really need to showcase to prove that you are the best solution for whatever next it is that you're positioning yourself for. And the final point is around your energy. So how do you manage your energy? Because again, here's the thing, whatever it is that you're giving your sweat, your attention, to, that's where your focus is going to be, and that's where you're going to create results. Where attention goes, where energy goes, that's where we create results. And sometimes I get people who I say, I'm working with people who find themselves in a situation where they are bogged down with projects that is taking up a lot of their time, but actually not going to help them in moving their career forward. And so I'm like, but why are you spending so much time on this? Because while maybe, it's landed on your desk or you volunteered for it, but somehow it's taking a lot of energy, but it's not giving you enough back in return. Now that's problematic because again, you need, these are things that you need to create the year that you want. You need time, you need the value that you're bringing, the insights, and you need energy. If you're exhausted, going up, doing the wrong thing, you have enough energy to put in the right thing. Again, that's another exercise I do with my clients. I'm really, well, let's have an energy audit, because as you move up in your career, you need resilience. You need executive resilience. And if you find yourself if you put yourself in so many situations and you're involved in so many things, you're just not going to have enough focus and enough bandwidth to really bring your A game to your job and really position yourself for position yourself to achieve what you want in your career. And here's the thing, it's almost, it's cyclical, right? Spending your time right, really selling yourself effectively, really marketing yourself properly, and using your insights and managing your energy well. All of this, as you use them effectively, guess what? You actually create more of it. You end up creating more time. You end up creating more value for yourself. So what do I mean by you end up creating more time? Is the fact that you're more effective. So you're able to achieve more even with the time that you have. So a quick recap around what we've covered, Elevate You strategies for a stellar career year. I've reminded you that it's really around you elevating yourself. You are the constant. If you want to change your career, I know there are external issues, there are things we need to deal with, but I spent 15 years in the corporate world, right? Working with some of the largest organizations. My personal experience was the bigger issue I needed to fight. The bigger issue I needed to face and confront was me. That as I worked on me, it really just became easier to navigate those external issues, move on when I needed to move on, ignore when I needed to ignore, and not just get myself dragged, really, really zeroing in on managing my energy. That was really, really critical. So you're not fighting battles that you don't need to fight. You're not fighting battles that you have no chance of winning, that it's only going to create more problems for you. So really elevating yourself, looking at what your stellar career year looks like, looking at all the strategies that I've just talked about, using how you use your time, how you use your energy, how you really bring your insights to the table so that you are recognized for the value that you bring. So that's all I really wanted to cover. So at this point, happy to take any questions. If you have any questions, just put your I think you can raise your hand. So there's a reaction button where you can raise your hand up and I will take any questions that you have. So while we wait for any questions, if you have, if anything that I've shared, you want to dig into it a little bit more, then feel free to send me a DM on LinkedIn and we could have a conversation around that. I do have some slots in my slots in my calendar. They're happy to have a one-to-one conversation and really map out a strategy for your own unique situation. So feel free to drop me a message. If you can make it happen, then we can do that. And I do have a number of free resources as well that I may be able to direct your way. So any questions?